More than any time he had been invited into the challenges before, Enoshita despised the idea of it. He could care less about what led Atsumuto suggested, but no matter the reason, he didn't condone it when it could hurt others. He could already imagine Tanaka's worried face if he did take the challenge seriously, and it wasn't something he wanted to see. Not now, when they were on a great way to reconcile completely after everything. No way he was going to ruin their progress. And no way I'm worrying him more than he already is. It was enough Tanaka was becoming more and more antsy lately, and let himself be heard he had a bad feeling about leaving Enoshita home alone for so long. And while Enoshita was completely capable of staying at home on his own, he fully understood Tanaka's sentiment. He couldn't wait for his boyfriend to finally be allowed to continue in recovery at home. I guess at least I have some good news today. He quickly combed his fingers through his hair to hide the fact he was running before he knocked on the all-too-familiar door. As expected, Tanaka beamed the moment he entered the room, his smile so bright it could make one go blind. Enoshita reciprocated the smile with his own, feeling like he just entered into a sun. Chica, my darling, how are you doing? I'm doing great now that I'm here, thanks to you. Then tell me you ran again. Enoshita chuckled quietly, rubbing the back of his neck. Is it that apparent? Tanaka gave him a slightly reprimanding look. I know you, Chica, remember? I've watched you enough throughout our lives to know when you ran. That sounds a bit stalkery. I beg your pardon, I was admiring the view, even though I didn't really know that back then. A smile Enoshita could only describe as love-struck curled Tanaka's lips. You are even prettier when your cheeks turn red, you know that? Enoshita blushed, and Tanaka grinned. See? I told you. Well, good, since you are the one who always makes me turn red. And I enjoy it very much. But come here finally, I want a hug. Rolling his eyes in a loving exasperation, Enoshita left his bag by the door and leaned down to get smooshed in a hug. He couldn't help himself and clutched Tanaka's t-shirt in his hands, burying his face into the crook of his boyfriend's neck. It almost felt as if some invisible weight got lifted from his shoulders, allowing him to breathe freely again. Everything okay? Enoshita hummed in surprise and pulled away a bit, noticing the usual concerned crease appearing on Tanaka's forehead. Yeah, I'm fine. Why? I don't know, it just... You seemed tense when I hugged you. Did something happen? Enoshita paused. He didn't even notice he was acting any different. But in the end, he wasn't surprised Tanaka would pick up on the subtle things. He always did, after all. No, nothing happened. I guess I just really miss your hugs. And you. I really miss you, you know? Oh, Chica. He reached for Enoshita's hand and gave it a firm squeeze. His strength wasn't fully back yet, and it was nowhere near to the strength Enoshita wouldn't be able to withstand normally. And yet, he yelped as pain shot through his hand up to his elbow, leaving a light tingling under his skin. Tanaka immediately let go, his eyes widened. Sorry. Was that too much? That wasn't supposed to hurt you, I'm sorry. Enoshita waved his other hand, trying for a reassuring smile, though judging by Tanaka's expression, he didn't do a very good job. It's fine, it's not your fault. I kinda forgot about it. Forgot about what? Chica, what happened? It sounded like you have broken bones. He froze, the muscles around his jaw tensing. Does it have something to do with why you are so clingy suddenly? Huh? Chica, did someone do something to you? I knew I had a bad feeling about leaving you alone for so long. Or was it at work? Outside? Wait, no, calm down, please. No one did anything to me, I swear. It was my own mistake. I thought it was fine since I could move with it normally, but I guess it's still a bit sensitive to pressure. Tanaka didn't look convinced just yet, but Enoshita didn't blame him. He would probably freak out too if Tanaka suddenly jumped because of a simple hand squeeze. His breath stuttered when Tanaka took his hand in his own again, much more gently this time, lightly running his fingers over his skin. What happened then? You'll laugh. I would never laugh at your injuries. No, I mean because it's stupid. You know how I have that stupid cabinet in my office that locks itself randomly? Yeah? Well, I was putting away medical cards and I had to use that cabinet, but it started to close when I turned around, so I stuck my hand there to stop it because who knows how long would it take to open again. He chuckled awkwardly. Let me tell you, the door are heavy as heck. Sighing, Tanaka pressed a light kiss to his fingers. You should be more careful with your hands. You need them. Yeah, I know. But I have some good news for you. Uh-huh. Another surprise? Kinda. I spoke with your doctor today, and if everything goes well, you could go home this week. Tanaka's mouth fell open, the surprise soon turning into pure glee. Enoshita couldn't stop his own laugh when Tanaka pulled him into another hug, squeezing him tight, his laughter ringing next to Enoshita's ear. Things really started to look great again. Goshiki wasn't having a great day. It could be said he was living through the absolute worst day in the last month, which said something since he couldn't recall many happy moments from it either. It was his fault, of course, as always. Kogane did everything to make things better, but he was lagging behind, causing a stagnation in their relationship. As if it wasn't enough, he messed up the last challenge he did and worried Kogane for no reason whatsoever. Even though he got cuddles from it back then, he felt bad for causing his boyfriend more stress. He tried so hard to keep his personal struggles to himself, but considering Kogane didn't even hug him before he left in the morning, he apparently managed to mess up this too. Or something else. He wouldn't be surprised if that was the case either. You just have to ruin everything, don't you? The match, the practice, their relationship. Everything was crumbling around him, and he was the common denominator. He knew that, even if others weren't reminding him about it. Why do you have to ruin everything for everyone? Everything okay? Goshiki yelped, startled, and turned around wildly, his heart jumping into his throat. Kogane raised his hands and stepped back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Goshiki let out a long shaky breath, holding his palm over his racing heart. It's okay. I didn't know you are home already. I called you. You didn't hear me? Oh, well, stupid question. Apparently you didn't. His face softened a bit, but Goshiki didn't miss the concerned creases appearing around his eyes. Is everything alright? Yeah, I was just thinking, I guess. I'm sorry. No, don't apologize for that, it's fine. I was just wondering what was on your mind. He reached for Goshiki's hand, his eyebrows knitting together when Goshiki instinctively moved away from the touch. Goshiki cringed inwardly. He didn't even do it with the challenge in mind. He just moved. Sorry. What's wrong? Nothing? Despite his words, he stepped back when Kogane got closer. His chest constricted upon seeing Kogane freeze in place, a pained expression flashing over his face as his hand stayed hovering in the air. Words he had heard one too many times before echoed through his mind, speeding up his already fast-beating heart. Too much. Too difficult to deal with. Too slow with everything. No wonder you always end up messing up. He squeezed his wrist, his breathing becoming rapid and ragged. He avoided looking at Kogane, keeping his gaze buried into the floor to not see the definitely present disappointment in his boyfriend's eyes. I'm sorry. He squealed when he suddenly got crushed in a tight embrace, for a moment unsure what was happening and what he should do. Shh. Stop apologizing, please. Take a deep breath, okay? Just breathe. Don't worry about anything else. Goshiki bit hard on his lip, and then he couldn't hold back anymore. He gripped the back of Kogane's t-shirt and hid his face in his shoulder, pressure building behind his eyes. He followed Kogane's example and took a few deep breaths, feeling his hands trembling. It all reminded him of that fateful evening when he ruined everything he ever worked on. The evening when he showed as the horrible, selfish person he was. The arms around him tightened. Don't think of anything, love. Focus on your breath, okay? Nothing else. I've got you. Don't be scared. And Goshiki did, sagging into Kogane's arms that surrounded him like the safest blanket in the world. He missed being held like this on a daily, and in Kogane's case oftentimes hourly, occasion. He missed the feeling of being completely engulfed, of being dwarfed by his boyfriend despite his own height. But he was too slow in repairing their relationship. He might get bored soon if you continue like this. A soft whimper escaped his mouth as the words echoed in his mind, his fingers subconsciously curling more into Kogane's t-shirt. It's okay. Everything is fine, I promise. Take your time. I can't. I already take too long. I can't lose you. The words got stuck in his throat, the trembling of his hands intensifying. Panic rose in his chest when Kogane pulled away, but before he could say anything, he got silenced by the softest of touches on his lips. His knees buckled under him, his mind short-circuiting completely. But Kogane's arms held him tight, preventing him from falling to the floor. He let out a shaky breath when they parted, part of his mind begging him to chase the contact, to not lose it just yet. But the other part stopped him, too afraid of making Kogane upset again. Kogane cupped his cheeks, making him look up. I need you to listen to me, okay? Very carefully. Kenji, you aren't taking too long, with anything. You are going forward by your own pace, and it's fine. This isn't a sprint, and that's okay. We have all the time in the world. Goshiki's lower lip quivered. But this is all my fault. You are just waiting for me, and what if you really get bored of waiting one day and I'm scared you'll leave. Kogane visibly paused, and Goshiki panicked. He was already opening his mouth to apologize when he was pulled forward into Kogane's arms again, shiver running through his body with the touch. I could never leave you because of that. But... No, please listen. This isn't something that can be rushed, and I would be damned if I pushed you into being fine with force. I mean every word when I say that there is no rush. He ran his fingers through Goshiki's hair, sending light shivers down his spine. I can wait for as long as it takes if it means you will be fine again. I could never leave you behind like that. You could have much more fun elsewhere. Not really. I'm with you because I love you. No one else would be able to give me what you do. Goshiki's vision hazed. He buried his face into Kogane's shoulder, biting hard on his lip to hopefully settle the surge of emotions rushing through him. Kogane didn't stop caressing small circles into his back, the steady movement slowly soothing his pained mind. I love you too. I'll do my best. I swear. You already do that. But I need you to answer me something. And to tell me the truth. Goshiki froze despite Kogane's voice staying as soft as ever. Okay. Kogane pulled away a bit, his face suddenly much more serious than a few moments ago. Who told you that you take too long? And all the other things too. Because this wasn't the only thing, was it? It wasn't a question. Goshiki looked away, his grip on Kogane's t-shirt tightening even more. The air was tense in their home that day. Atsumu wasn't sure if Sakusa had noticed it since his boyfriend looked quite unbothered, but that didn't mean anything. Sakusa was a master in hiding his thoughts and emotions, which didn't give Atsumu a lot to work with. But knowing him, the heavy atmosphere Atsumu had been trying to create since morning had some effect on him. Good. Simmer a bit, Omi, before I go on with my grand plan. He grumbled under his breath when he recalled Osamu calling him an idiot when he called him to get some support and to express his disappointment over Sakusa's actions. I hope it got you good. He would probably get smacked if his mom heard him think like that about his brother and boyfriend, but he didn't care. His feelings were hurt, and he wasn't going to just leave it be. Are you trying to burn a hole through that phone? Taking it as a great starting opportunity, Atsumu flinched a bit when Sakusa spoke before lifting his gaze from the screen. Huh? No, of course not. I was just thinking. Sakusa furrowed his brow but didn't say anything, not even his usual "don't hurt yourself," which was more than enough to let Atsumu know his plan was working. He stifled the feral grin making its way to his face, and instead returned to mindlessly scrolling on his phone. He intentionally sat a bit further away from Sakusa than usual, so that he could see if Sakusa leaned to him to touch him. The last thing he wanted was to ruin his plan by having a delayed reaction. But so far, Sakusa didn't make a single attempt to get closer, except for his earlier question, which infuriated Atsumu to no end. Come on, I can't wait forever. Let me show you how it feels to get a cold shoulder like this. Cold shoulder probably wasn't the best way to describe it. Atsumu was aware of that, but it didn't change anything for him. He didn't do anything wrong yesterday, even went along when Sakusa suddenly started to clean the whole apartment without a single complaint. And yet Sakusa pushed him away whenever he tried to touch him, and in the end sent him to rather rest, saying he was going to clean alone. The whole thing weirded Atsumu out a bit since it was an unusual behavior for Sakusa, but above all that, he felt hurt. Which was exactly why he came up with the challenge. He jumped when Sakusa suddenly got up, noticing the slight pause in his movement. Good. Are you sure you are okay? Atsumu blinked a few times, waiting if Sakusa was going to do or say something else. Yeah? It's not like anything happened. He caught himself too late, but in the end, he supposed that giving a hint was not a bad thing in this situation. There was a brief flash of something in Sakusa's eyes, but it was gone so fast Atsumu wasn't even sure if he didn't just imagine it. Are you upset because of yesterday? No, you didn't do anything out of ordinary. He could swear he saw a tiny flinch around Sakusa's eyes, which by itself was highly unusual. Nothing new there. Tsumu. He sat up when Sakusa reached to touch his shoulder to avoid the touch. Oh, look at the time. It's snack hour. He sprang up from the couch, purposefully avoiding Sakusa's hand when he tried to catch his arm again, and headed to the kitchen, half expecting Sakusa would follow. But no footsteps sounded behind him. With a furrowed brow, he gathered some of the protein bars from the stash, automatically taking 2 for Sakusa too, before heading back. He paused when he spotted Sakusa standing in the exact same position, with his hand still hovering in the air, staring blankly at the couch. Huh? Ome? As if waking up from some strange trance, Sakusa blinked rapidly a few times before raising his eyes, the look in them freezing Atsumu in place. Are you okay? He was well aware of the irony, but that was the last of his worries. Sakusa shook his head, apparently not even attempting any sort of smile like he usually did when he was unwell. Not really. But I guess that's not a new thing. I'll leave you alone. With that, he headed towards their office, closing the door behind him immediately. Atsumu stayed standing in the middle of the living room, completely dumbfounded about what he just witnessed. I guess that's not a new thing. Did I miss something? He contemplated his options for a moment, the bad feeling in his gut slowly growing on strength. He hesitated before opening the door, finding Sakusa in the middle of dusting the shelves. Which wouldn't be that weird if he didn't do it yesterday already. A sudden realization dawned on him when he recalled reading an article about something called stress cleaning a few years ago. Oh shit. Omi? Do you need help with something? Sakusa didn't turn around, but the movement of his hand became a bit more frantic. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it, please. I have to worry. You've never done this before. I mean, stress cleaning. That's what you are doing, right? A strangled chuckle escaped Sakusa's mouth. You know? I just realized it. Was it yesterday too? Why you started cleaning so suddenly? Sakusa sighed, his movement halting. Sorry. For what? You didn't do anything bad. He was genuine this time, and the more his chest constricted when he noticed the little wince in Sakusa's face. I try not to do that when you are around, so you don't think I'm a complete freak. But I guess it's not needed anyway. Atsumu's heart broke with his words. He recalled how tense Sakusa's shoulders were yesterday, and how pained he looked whenever he tried to touch him, the guilt hitting him like a truck when he realized how pushy he must have seemed to his boyfriend's stressed mind. Oh no. They've been together for over 6 years now, and yet he managed to completely miss this part of his boyfriend's psyche. Even worse, Sakusa still thought he would think less of him because of it. Oh, Ome. He froze mid-step, realizing he was about to do the exact thing he did yesterday. Can I hug you? Or do you not want to be touched right now? It's fine if you don't, I understand. I'll wait until you are ready, I promise. Sakusa clenched the cloth in his hand, staying silent for a long while until he gave a tiny nod. Atsumu was by him in a split second, wrapping his arms around him as if he was about to disappear if he let go. I'm so sorry, Ome. I should have known. I should have noticed you weren't well. Atsumu. But I don't think you are a freak. I could never. It's just another part of you. And it's fine, really. There's nothing wrong about it. I'm so sorry I made you believe I would think less of you if... His voice hitched, refusing to listen to him anymore. So instead, he tightened his arms around Sakusa's waist, his heart skipping a beat when the calloused hand covered his. You were upset. Yeah, but that's because I was stupid and didn't know what was going on. I would never do the challenge if I knew. Challenge? To avoid your touch. I thought I would get back at you for pushing me away, but instead I just hurt you more when I should be supportive. Can you forgive me? Please. Letting out a soft sigh, Sakusa squeezed his hand. You didn't know. Yeah, because you were scared to tell me, which deserves an apology by itself. I swear I will do better from now on, just... Please give me a chance to prove it. A moment later, he was engulfed in a hug himself. He hid his face in Sakusa's shoulder, clinging to him like his life depended on it, the only relief for him being the little circles being caressed into his back. Okay, I forgive you. But don't do challenges like this. Please. Atsumu nodded, snuggling a bit closer. I won't, I promise.